Hi, Melissa.
Jenny, how are you doing?
Good. You look very nice today.
Thank you. I try to look like a professional for these things. I really see the salt and pepper in my hair in this light, though.
I like that, though. It's like a distinguishing feature.
Well, thanks. I also have been called young lady when asking tough questions of gentlemen in conferences. So
No.
Have you all, and thank you for accepting our invitation to join this workshop and hackathon for HydroLearn. This is the second one we have. We had a similar event last year. It was I believe it was a big success for the project and for most folks who participated. Most of the material that you see on HydroLearn actually have been developed by folks like you from participating last year and throughout the year. We'll start by so the agenda today is we'll introduce ourselves to you, and we'll also allow you to introduce yourself to the group. I'll give you a brief overview of what HydroLearn is, and we'll have a presentation from a previous fellow who participated in the HydroLearn project by developing a module last year. So you can see an example of an outcome that we are looking for as an outcome of this workshop. And then we'll go over how we are going to partner the participants in groups of 2. And sometimes we have more than 2. I believe we have one case like that. And then we'll close with some form, some logistics on next steps. This is a pre-workshop meeting, as you all know. I believe you have the schedule. You have received the schedule. It's also available online. Maybe, Jenny, if you don't mind, you can put it in the chat box again, just in case somebody missed it. We'll start by introducing ourselves, the project team, HydroLearn team, and I'll ask my colleagues here to introduce themselves, Melissa, Doug, and Jenny, if you don't mind.
Hi, my name is Melissa Gallagher. I'm an assistant professor of mathematics education at the University of Houston, and I'm one of the educational PIs, co-PIs on the project.
Doug?
Hi, my name is Doug Williams. I'm sorry. Yeah, my name is Doug Williams. I'm a professor in the College of Ed at the University of Louisiana. My area is mostly focusing on educational robotics with kids and things like that. But I'm excited. I'm also one of the co-PIs in the team.
Jenny?
Hi, my name is Jenny Bird, and I'm a master's candidate at the University of Louisiana at Lafayette. And I will be your technical assistant as you go through this workshop. So if you have any questions as you're working through your module, I'm the person to go to.
Thank you, Jenny. And this is the rest of our team. I'll start by myself. This is Imad Habib. I'm a professor in the University of Louisiana at Lafayette, and my specialty is in hydrology and water resources. I believe we also have Dr. David Tarbone. He's not available with us today. He will be in the next meetings. He's a professor of civil engineering and at Utah State University, and I believe he's also the director of the water lab over there. Dr. Ames, Dan, are you online? I guess you can present.
Yeah, hi everybody. I'm Dan Ames. I'm a professor of civil and environmental engineering at Brigham Young University in Provo, Utah, and one of the co-PIs and engineering leads for this hackathon. Looking forward to working with some of you.
Belize? I'm not sure if she's there. Okay. Yeah, so our colleague here, Dr. Belize Lane, she's also a co-PI on the project, and she's an assistant professor at Utah State University. So this is our team who will be working with you during the workshop. We divided ourselves into educational support, and Melissa and Doug. Jenny is the technical support when it comes to doing things on the platform. And then the 4 of us that you see on the screen here will be your subject area content support. Before we get into an introduction to HydroLearn, I would like to go around the room and maybe you can introduce yourself, your name and your institution, and if you want to share a sentence or 2 on your specialty. That would be appreciated. I know we are a large group, so maybe I can call on you from what I see on the screen, just to make it easier on everybody. Nate.
Hey guys, I'm Nate Jones. I'm at the University of Alabama. I'm an assistant professor. I actually teach in the biology department, and so I'm really excited about this because teaching hydrology to biologists is both fun and challenging.
Firat.
Hi everyone, this is Firat Testek. I'm a professor of civil and environmental engineering at the University of Texas at San Antonio. Well, I'm very excited about this workshop. Thank you.
Thank you. Harun.
Hello, everyone. I'm Harun Stephen. I'm an associate professor of civil and environmental engineering at the University of Nevada, Las Vegas. And my specialty is applications of remote sensing and GIS, and I'm very excited to be here too.
Yes, next is Alexander. Alex.
Hi everyone, I'm Alex Martinez from University of California, Irvine. My area of expertise is hydrology and fluid mechanics, and I'm a doctoral student and I will defend in 2 weeks. So I will get my PhD very soon. And I'm very excited about this opportunity.
Alfonso.
Hi everybody, this is Alfonso Torres from Utah State University. My expertise is in agriculture and remote sensing and UAVs.
Thank you. And I'm not sure if I'm getting this right, but Sam, I believe.
Yes, I'm Sam Mutiti. I'm a professor at Georgia College and State University. My specialty is environmental hydrogeology, and I'm in the biology department, environmental science and biological science department.
Thank you. George? You're muted, George.
All right. Hi, good afternoon, everyone. And my name is George Fu, and professor at Georgia Southern University. And my expertise area is in water and environment. I'm very excited on this workshop.
Thank you. Kazi?
Hi, I'm Kazi Tamaddin. I'm currently a postdoctoral associate at University of Virginia, working for the Department of Engineering Systems and Environment. My research focus is urban hydrology and high-performance computing-based hydrological model development. A fun fact about me is Dr. Harun Stephen was my MSc and PhD committee, so it's good to see him here. So, yeah.
Okay. Karen?
Hello, everybody. I'm Karen. I'm a graduate student at Utah State University. My expertise area is irrigation and remote sensing.
And Anne?
Good to meet everyone. I'm an associate professor of surface water hydrology in the Department of Earth Sciences at the University of New Hampshire.
Well, thank you, Anne. And Josh? Yeah, I don't think we can hear you, Josh. It looks like you are unmuted, but we cannot hear you.
How about now?
Yes.
Better? All right. I'm Josh Lamont. I'm an assistant professor of environmental biogeochemistry in the Department of Geological Sciences at Brigham Young University.
Thank you. Maruti, and I'm sorry if I'm not pronouncing the names correctly.
Hi, this is Maruti Sridhar Bhaskar. I'm an associate professor in the Department of Earth and Environment at Florida International University. My research interests are in environmental remote sensing and GIS.
Thank you. And Sebnem?
Hi, everyone. I am from Turkey. and I'm an associate professor of hydrogeology at the Department of Geological Engineering in Ankara University. And I'm so happy to be here. And I also realized that my mentor, Martin Stuta, is also here. So hi, everyone. And it's now 10 p.m. in Turkey, so good night.
Appreciate everybody joining from a different time zone. You know, this is exciting. And Dr. Stu?
Yeah, Martin Stute. I'm a professor of environmental and applied science at Barnard College, Columbia University, and Lamont Doherty Earth Observatory, New York City. And my expertise is in environmental tracers, water and past climates, and also carbon sequestration and hydraulic fracturing.
Thank you. And Syed?
I'm Syed Batteni from Department of Civil and Environmental Engineering at the University of Hawaii, and my expertise is ET and remote sensing.
Thank you, Syed. And a fun fact about Syed, he agreed to invite all of us to Hawaii next year for another workshop.
Yeah, sure.
Okay. Varun?
Hi, everyone. I'm Varun Paul from Mississippi State University. I'm an assistant professor here. My expertise is in hydrogeology and biogeochemistry.
Thank you. Ian? Or Ian, I'm sorry if I'm mispronouncing it.
Yeah, hi, I'm Ian Patterson. I'm an associate professor in physical geography at Heriot-Watt University in Edinburgh in Scotland. And my research is to do with flood hydrology and management.
Thank you. Zahra?
Hi everyone, Zahra Kalantari. I am from KTH Royal Institute of Technology in Sweden, in Stockholm in Sweden, and I am Associate Professor of Water and Environmental Engineering. So we mainly focus on water related disasters.
Thank you. Alex?
This is Alex Manda. I am at East Carolina University in Greenville, North Carolina. I'm in the Department of Geological Sciences there, and my interests are in water resources, and I'm a groundwater hydrologist, so surface water, groundwater interactions, and saltwater intrusion, coastal hydrology, and so on.
And Sina?
Hi everyone, I'm Sheena. I'm working at KTH University, but currently in Melbourne, Australia, and my area is hydrological modeling and uncertainty.
Okay. And I see Alyssa.
Hi, I apologize for being late. I just had some technological challenges and I'm working from home today with dogs. But my name is Alyssa Starry. I'm at Portland State University and my area of interest is urban hydrology and specifically low impact design and modeling green roofs into urban hydrology.
Great. And Esther. I guess yeah, go ahead, please.
Yeah, thank you. This is Astir Tasfay from Arvamij University, Water Technology in Ethiopia. My specialization is on irrigation and water resource engineering, but now I am PhD candidate in hydrology and water management in African Center of Excellence, Addis Ababa University, Ethiopia. My interest, my research area is hydrological modeling. That means hydrological modeling impact on water resource and crop productivity. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Yeah, thank you. And thank you everybody again for joining us. I think that's everybody. Unless I missed somebody online, please feel free to introduce yourself. And it's great to see this diverse group of faculty from different disciplines and different countries. So it's really a blessing to have you all, and we look forward to working with you through the workshop. So just very briefly, what's the outcome of this workshop? The outcome, or what do we want? The overall objective of the workshop is that we want you all to develop modules collaboratively that you can use in your classrooms and also others can use in their classrooms. So that's in very short terms the objective of the workshop. And a product of that also, we hope that we will be able to provide you with some training on best practices for developing modules, effective modules that can help your students and also can help other faculty in other universities who might be interested in the same topics. So just a few words about HydroLearn. It's a project that's funded by the National Science Foundation, as you can read on our website. And we have been working on this project for the last, I believe, 3 years. But before that, we had a couple projects that led to this. So it's a continuous effort that we have been working on for the last several years, actually. And the overall objective of HydroLearn is to promote collaborative development and adoption of active learning resources in the field of hydrology and water resources. And the project or the platform that you will be working on offers different services. Some of it you will learn about during the workshop and you will use during the workshop. So we hope that people who use HydroLearn will be, as an instructor, they will be able to find learning modules that were developed by others on the platform and they can use them in their classrooms. They can customize what's there if they want to adapt it to certain applications in the classrooms. And they also can collaborate with others, just like we're doing today, to develop new modules and contribute them back to the community. What does the platform or what does the HydroLearn offer? We hope that it offers effective learning modules that can help students learn about contemporary topics and engage in authentic activities. The modules are developed with a strategy called constructive alignment. You'll get to learn about it today. We believe that this strategy, which is well established in the education research, actually help produce more effective modules. And the modules are built around, like I said, authentic problems that can actually enhance student learning. So next slide, Melissa, if you don't mind. We have two main goals that we promised NSF to deliver, and we want to enable instructors like you all to develop, share, and reuse active learning modules that facilitate adoption by the larger community. So we definitely want to help the individuals become better instructors and develop better materials, but we also want to develop a community where we can collaborate and adopt material that is developed by all of us. Of course, the ultimate goal is to enhance student learning in key areas of hydrology and water resources, and we are trying to hit on some of the new accreditation criteria if you're an engineering program, but also in other programs. I think there's more emphasis now on problem solving, on complex problems, by applying principles of engineering science and mathematics. So we try to develop modules that address these kind of complex problems throughout the program. Next slide, Melissa. Like I said, while we focus on helping individuals, we want to build a community, and a community of people who believe in these kind of approaches and evidence-based approaches, using active learning and real data and authentic learning experiences. We emphasize that when you develop the module, make sure that you will be able to develop it. That's the ultimate benefit for you, but also keep others in mind. How do I develop a module that others can adopt and use? So there's a lot of research in the literature on diffusion of innovation, how you develop something that can actually be diffused to others to use, so that it's not just limited to your immediate need. So we hope to achieve that with you all when you develop the modules. Next slide. Okay, so we thought the best way to kind of give you an idea about what we expect out of the workshop, and also what HydroLearn can offer in terms of the modules that folks like you contribute to and develop. We wanted to invite a former fellow. He's still a current fellow, I guess, but he contributed to a module to HydroLearn over the last year, and we would hear from him on his module that he developed and show you some examples of what we believe are effective strategies that he used in building that module. So, and I'm sorry if I did not introduce him earlier. Maybe this is a good time also for him to introduce himself before showing us the module. Again, I apologize for not introducing you earlier, but please go ahead and do that.
Hey everybody, I'm Tyler Smith. I was a fellow last summer. So I worked on this with my partner, Austin. Let's see if I can share my screen here. And I'm
sorry, Tyler, I'm going to interrupt you real quick. As Tyler shares, I really like you to focus on two things. Something, as you're watching the module, what would make you want to adopt it? Because as Ahmad said, one of our goals is to create modules that aren't just useful for you, but that lots of people would want to adopt. So what would make you want to adopt this module? And then what might be barriers for you to adopting this module? So I'll put those questions in the chat and we'll talk about those after Tyler's done presenting. And of course, we chose Tyler purposefully because we think he and Austin did an excellent job on this module.
Thanks. So I sort of have a set of slides here just to sort of walk through some of the key points. We can look at the actual module on the web as well if anybody wants, and if you have questions, I'm happy to answer. Austin and I sort of approached building our module first by figuring out what we both taught and trying to find somewhere that we overlapped. And that sort of forced us to figure out how to make the module adaptable right off the start, because I'm in a department where we do water resources as a single combined required class. We do hydrology, pipe hydraulics, open channel hydraulics, all in one semester course. And Austin's institution had separate courses for those. And so we needed to figure out sort of how we might do that. So that was sort of our first challenge, was like, how are we going to make this work for us? Because we have different needs and we both wanted it to be directly benefiting us. So we really started by thinking about like, okay, just brainstorming things that we both teach and then trying to work backwards from that. And we had both been teaching for several years, so that sort of helped us a little bit have a bank of different activities that we had done to some degree. Certainly this sort of is bigger than what any of those necessarily would be, but we tried to put all that together into one thing, right? And as you'll learn throughout the workshop, you're talking about constructive alignment and authentic problems, and we're sort of trying to take our initial brainstorm and build it around these concepts, that the educational concepts that are sort of the keys to how you set things up. So ours is a floodplain analysis problem. It's built off of some projects that Austin had used previously, so he had some of the data. And sort of when you're in HydroLearn, you know, you can look at this for any of the courses, and it has sort of the key details of what's in the module, the target audience, and all of this stuff that you'll build. And what we did for ours, specifically in terms of making it adaptable, is we talked about the key things that were, we talked about the key things that were important for the two of us, right? So if you have split hydrology, hydraulics courses, how are we going to use this material? So we basically said, you know, you can adapt this, how to do that, but then if you're in that situation, which is a lot of universities split those courses, we've sort of said, okay, you can maybe split this and do part of it in one course and the other part in the next. That's probably even better if the same person teaches both of those sections back to back, and you can sort of have one course that carries across, or sorry, one project that carries across the two courses. And then if you don't want to use Darlington, Wisconsin as your case study, we went through and said, these are the types of information you need. So you need a location that you can use StreamStats on, that has a gauge on NWIS, and that you can get FEMA from maps for, as well as topographic data, which is all going to get plugged into the analysis. So those are sort of the key pieces that you need to have available to you to change the site location. But if you have that, which is a lot of places, you can sort of swap that all in for Pecatonica River at Darlington. And so that was sort of our initial idea, was how can we make this work for both of us, and really trying to build the module around the constraints that the two of us had as we sort of started to build an idea. So these are slides that I didn't make specifically for this, but for AGU in December. But I thought they sort of summarize basically what we're doing here. I don't want to, I guess, focus too much on any of the specific details unless people want to know any of those things, but we've sort of highlighted, you know, this is a real project. It's a real place that has real floods. And we're basically looking to do a floodplain analysis. Students go through and build a model in HEC-RAS and do all of this, and are really looking at the impacts to a specific property in the town. So figuring out whether we want to move the building or protect the building somehow to, you know, limit its vulnerability to floods on the Pecatonica River. And so we've tried to set up ours, and remembering this was last year, we had just done, each of us, you know, 2.5 months of on the fly virtual learning. And so we wanted to take some of the things that we had done that we thought worked well from that and sort of build that into our setup. So for ours, we sort of have mini lectures that are videos that students can watch. So instead of, you know, it being more like a textbook, we've set up videos where we sort of walk them through, which works, I think, nicely, particularly for the HEC-RAS stuff, because it's a step-by-step process showing the students how to set up the model, run the model, which I think works well for them. I did use this last fall in my course, and I know Austin used it as well in his course, and it seemed to go well, particularly that part. They really like to, you know, learn HEC-RAS, use HEC-RAS. It feels like a real thing that they're going to do. And so that was sort of our goal here, right? We're getting them, introducing them to real places that, you know, real engineers might go to get data, and kind of giving them the framework to do all that. So you can sort of see what we have for each of those things, how to use StreamStats. So if you've never used StreamStats, there's a video on that. How to get data off NWIS. We have a module on sort of basic statistics for water resources, engineering. So there's a set of lectures on that. And I'll show you maybe once we get there, how we sort of set a frame around these things. But open channel flow, and we're sort of walking through what are all the steps on the way to solving this problem. So for us, it was, what's our problem? And then we sort of work backwards to figure out, you know, what pieces do we need to build to get to that endpoint. So it was helpful to have an endpoint, and then we're sort of building up towards that goal. In the floodplain analysis, we talk about how we make decisions, what matters to our decisions. So there's information about that. And you'll learn a lot more about the learning activities and how to format all of this stuff. But basically, the idea here is that we've built learning activities with result templates that helps set the expectation for what the student's supposed to do. So they need to create this figure, and they're going to insert it in this template. We used Word docs that we uploaded. As you can imagine, the first time through, students found my class with 60 students, found every single error and problem that was in there. So I think actually for the next time, since my university uses Google Drive, we're going to use Google Docs because it's easier just to update that and then the link still works versus the Word files, which you have to edit and then re-upload every time somebody finds an error. And then you have to send an email that says, hey, I found an error. So you have to go re-download that if you already downloaded it because I changed it. So I think Google Docs is going to work a little bit smoother for that. I can sort of sneak in those edits on the fly a little bit. But they definitely found everyone that was there the first time through. There are only a handful, but yeah, they found them for sure. But it sort of gives the student an expectation of, okay, what do we need to do to solve this learning activity? What do we need for results? You'll talk about this more, rubrics. So every result has a rubric. It's tied back to all of our learning objectives. And, you know, we try to link everything that we built through here. This is all stuff you're going to learn about in the workshop. And it's sort of just a matter of putting all the pieces together and trying to get everything connected. I don't think there was any magic for that working for us other than we just sort of tried our best to follow the directions, really. And so we just happened to work well together. We had never met before a group, but discovered that we had many very, very close near encounters in previous years. I think this is just more of the same. We've tried to connect it to real life things. They're using real data. They're looking at real maps from FEMA and calculating real flows for different return period events and plugging that all into their HEC-RAS model. I think these are some of the survey responses, and Melissa can suss out what this means. I think the main take home we discovered before was I didn't incentivize the pre-experience survey, which is why the number of students who took it is much lower. And I did say, if you do the survey, I'll give you extra credit points for the post. And then obviously that was a more successful strategy. So that's, you know, just something that I was like, oh, I should have done that the first time. So I don't know that that gives us too much to go off of. This doesn't include results from Austin's class. He was a little bit after me when he implemented it, so he might have better results, or at least more comparative pre and post results. But that's sort of the module. I don't want to go too long, so I can show it on HydroLearn on the website if you guys want me to, or I can stop, or we can do questions. I'm open to anything.
For completeness, you should just bring it up on the website.
Sure.
That was super useful to see it that way, but then it'd be nice to see the actual student view.
Yeah, so this is just the overview page. And then if we go into like a learner view, the students see sort of the framework and they can, you know, click through into any section and page through the different topics. What we tried to do with any of the videos is give them what they're supposed to be learning, sort of the key concepts that are covered, and then a video that goes with it that they can watch. And we sort of broke them up into smaller chunks there, maybe, you know, 5 to 10 or so minutes long each of the videos. So no single video is too much. And we tried to just give them, you know, the essential information that they need to hit these key concepts. So this one talks about watershed delineation and classification, sort of in a generic sense. And as they go through, they get more details on different topics. Little check your understanding quizzes in there to keep them sort of engaged and make sure they're getting the concepts as they work their way through. And that's sort of the setup. So it's kind of like building, I mean, we use Moodle at my school. I think Austin used something else. I don't remember what it is, but, and it's sort of, you know, building this here is sort of like that. It's a different platform, but it's the same sort of thing you get the hang of. And I guess this also taught me new Moodle tricks too, right? So you learn things in here and you're like, oh, I wonder if you can do that in Moodle. And then, yeah, sure enough, you can do a lot of the same things in either framework. But the idea was that we start with our problem and every piece of the way through, we're back in that problem. I think that's good, but adapting it, then that's a little bit harder because you have to work through everywhere. Through here, you're going to have to change or update the text, you know, with a find and replace or something like that. But that was sort of the plan.
And can you just show one more time or explain one more time? So all of this text is here for the students, but you did decide you needed to put something in a Google document. And was that was just the summary question and reporting sheet, right?
Yep, those were the learning, or sorry, the results templates. Let's see if we can find one somewhere. So in this resource table, we put our results templates. So they go through this learning activity. There's step-by-step instructions of what to do. You can see there's screenshots of everything they should be seeing, how to set parameters, in this case for stream stats, to delineate the watershed. They go through and calculate the length of this stream reach, and similar for collecting discharge data from NWIS. So all of that information, there's a summary of the questions, rubric, but that all links back to this results template, which was in the set of slides there. So just what figures or tables they needed to save. You can see here, there's also a bulleted list here. And I mean, in my class, I use this as the way I used the module was the first part, this part right here was a lab. My class was online in the fall. So this was a lab that they did, and then the rest of it was a design project. So they go for the lab, collect the data, and then the design project is take the data and do the floodplain analysis design. And we didn't do this in class. I didn't go through this material in class. This was like the assignment sheet, basically. We covered some of the material in class, so they didn't need to watch lectures on the statistics or the open channel hydraulic stuff because we covered that in class, but it was a separate thing. And at least for the open channel stuff, it was Austin lecturing on that instead of me. So they would have, you know, a separate person to see that from too, which is maybe useful to some people or not. But they had that as an opportunity. So, you know, I spent a little time talking them through, you know, getting onto HydroLearn and going through it, but then they were sort of on their own to work through this to complete the lab assignment or the design project assignment. And so, you know, we have this results template, but then I said, well, you need a lab report. And so the results template, the figures you're going to put in your lab report, the answers to those summary questions are going to be in your either your results or your discussion section of your lab report. And you're not just going to put the question and the answer, but you're going to write that in narrative text, which was a little bit maybe, I don't know if it was confusing or just they didn't want to do it that way. They wanted to list the question, list the answer. But I guess I could be persuaded to believe that it was maybe confusing the first time, but there's definitely was some begrudging compliance towards the end. I see people who have hands up, but who do you want me to call on people? I can only see like the 4 of you at the top of my screen since I'm sharing.
So Zoom will pull people to the top if they put their hands up. So, and it'll order people by what order they put their hand up in. So you can probably see Haroon first because his hand went up first.
Okay. So yeah, what's your question?
Yeah, thanks, Tyler. I have a question about your survey data. You have pre and post. Can you briefly explain what were the results? I understand the response rate was different for pre and post, but what did you find from this survey?
Yeah, so basically there were 2 different surveys, right? One that was focused on sort of concepts and skills, and then the other one, I don't want to save me if I start going down the wrong path, Melissa, but the other one was more about their engagement, right?
Mm-hmm.
Is that right? And so, you know, I think the engagement one was fairly constant pre and post, but certainly the concepts and skills, which there was a general section and then one that was specific to the topics in the module. And, you know, they both showed that students felt more confident in their understanding of the skills. I guess that's what we would hope, regardless of whether they did the HydroLearn or not, because the concepts were also in the lecture and things like that. So I don't know if it means that much or if it's a significant difference. And I don't think we have crunched all the numbers on that. But they went in the right direction at least. So things were going up. But I haven't really spent too much time on digging through that specifically.
Okay, thank you. One quick follow-up question too. So in your course, how did you place it? So it expects 25 hours of time commitment. So was it more of a term project towards the end of the course or something?
Yeah, so I guess I have 2 things to say. One, the time estimate was probably one of the harder things for us to come up with because it's hard to know. The other thing is, I think the time estimate is for this in a vacuum versus this in a course where we're already talking about the same concepts as part of the course. So for that part, you know, I don't know, but in terms of sequencing, the way my combined hydrology hydraulics section course works is we start in hydrology and then we do you know, open channels, and then we did finish with pipes. So we did this probably the second week. They did the first section where they went into the frequency analysis, collecting the data, doing that stuff as a lab in the second week of classes, basically. So we had talked about that material towards the beginning there, second, third week, somewhere in there. And they knew that they were going to use that for the rest of it eventually, which would be a project, but that we weren't really there yet in the material. And so we finished our hydrology section and we started in channels. And then once we got sort of halfway through the channel stuff, they started on this for their design project. So they probably got into the bulk of this about halfway through the semester, and then they had most of the rest of the semester to finish it, basically. So we were working through the module for most of the semester. It's, you know, on some level.
Thanks.
Yep. Okay, I see Anne has the next question.
I was just curious how you mentioned that you use Moodle in your course. Did you send students directly to HydroLearn? Did you have a version of this that you deployed in Moodle? How did you communicate with the students about using this content?
So I sent them directly to HydroLearn. So they got, I got all their emails and sent them invites to join the course. Can you guys hear the lawnmower right next to me? Okay. And so they all joined on here. I would say, I was somewhat concerned because they're all on Moodle, they're on here, we're all online, and it's kind of juggling several things, but at that point, everyone was fairly over the anxiety of, oh, this is on a different thing now, right? It was just, they get the email from me, they click accept or join or whatever it says, and then they're in. I did have one student be my guinea pig and test everything before I sent it to the whole class. I took one student who asked about what is this thing from the syllabus, like the first day, and I said, oh, perfect. You're going to help me make sure this all works out. And she helped a lot to make sure that everything went smooth for everybody else, because she could be sort of the eyes of what does it look like? What's the email look like that they get when they get invited and all of that. And that made it go pretty smoothly. They didn't really have any issues with that. I had all the grading stuff, so they turn things in on Moodle just to keep all the grades in one place and not have to shuffle between two platforms with grades. But that's how I did it. I'm not sure if Austin did the same. I think he uses Blackboard at his school, but we'd sort of talked about like, well, what do we think, how each of us thought we might do it, and we sort of just both kind of decided like they can probably handle it without too much consternation, and it seemed okay.
Yeah, and also this is an effective way, Tyler, to do it. I did it a little bit slightly different, where we use Moodle. So instead of sending them an email, I would put the content of that email, so to speak, on Moodle, and then tell them, okay, go here and go there. So it's all on Moodle. It just gives them an external link, like any other link, and everything is turned in on Moodle, like their assignments, their PDFs, so this way they don't have to struggle between the two. So that was fairly easy also, because they don't have to deal with just another set of instructions that sits outside of their platform.
Tyler, I was wondering if you would show the very, very first page, the very first unit that students see in your module. And one reason I'm asking Tyler to highlight this is because you heard him talk about, oh, oops, sorry, I meant the introducing the problem page.
This one?
No, maybe it's just past the learning objectives. Maybe it's the next one. Yeah, this is the slide, the one I was hoping you would show. So you heard Austin talk about an authentic problem. And so although there's a lot of content in his within the module, the very first thing the students are introduced to is the city of Darlington, Wisconsin, and this significant flooding event. And so right from the start, they have this real reason why they're learning about floodplain analysis.
And I should say, Austin's university is close to here, and this was from spring of 2019. So it was like a thing they had been talking about in his class in 2020 as sort of a local example. So it seemed very relevant, and he had collected all this data because it had just happened nearby. And so that made it easy for us to sort of pick as a project, but certainly it's not probably that hard to find local communities with flooding issues in a lot of places anyway. And we throughout the workshop learned how to do cool things like put in a Google map into our thing that they can click around, how to already have the watershed delineated. And so, you know, some of that is just things you'll learn and pick up how to build all that into the thing. And I think, I know for us, we sort of just, you know, you have the work periods set up in the schedule. We just sat on Zoom together and sort of said, I'm going to do this part and you're going to do this part, but we sat in the Zoom room together and kind of just chatted and worked, and that worked for us. I know some other groups last year said, I'm going to do this and you're going to do that, and they split up and went and did it on their own, and then came back together later. But I think for us, it's sort of, it just worked out that we both sort of worked that way. It was very informal, but we were just in the Zoom room, you know, kids running around on either side. But that's how we did it, and it worked okay. I mean, it's a group project, so everybody has administered group projects, knows how that can go, and you want to be the group member that people like, I think. We both were sort of conscious of that, like making sure we didn't let the other one down, because that's part of the game when you're in a group. But yeah, it worked out really well for us. And I think, you know, it worked out well for my class, especially being online. We had some real project that they got to practice, and it's the same thing that they would do in person, right? It was a sort of HEC-RAS modeling based project, which works conveniently online, other than the fact that you can't have Mac, which caused us some problems with not having the computer lab for them to use if they had a Mac. But other than that was, you know, pretty similar to how they were going to do it in person anyway.
Thank you so much, Tyler. Any other questions for Tyler? All right. Well, we really appreciate your time, Tyler, coming and sharing your module with us. Of course, this module is up and available for you all to take a look at too, if you want to kind of dig through it on your own later.
Thanks.
Okay, thank you. And so Harun asked a great question about the data. We're actually going to share some of the data with you down the line, but we have had incredibly positive results from every single module that's been implemented that are both practically and statistically significant. Actually, results I've never seen. I've never seen such consistently highly positive results before from any educational intervention. So it's we're pretty excited about the results we found. So the two questions I asked you to think about were, what would make you want to adopt this module, and what would be barriers to you adopting this module? So we're going to do a poll everywhere now. I'll drop the link in the chat as well. But you can just go to the pollev.com website. The link is there at the top, and you can type in your response to this question. Great question, Alex. Yes, we will be getting IRB approval from, we'll be working with you to get IRB approval from your institutions. So take a minute and go to that link and let us know what would make you want to adopt this module.
I like that phrase, actionable skill, that somebody used a minute ago. That's a good way to think about some of these tools.
All right, Kazi, I see your hand is up.
Yeah, so I had a question. So like topics like watershed delineation and so on, those are like quite common in many of the hydrologic development courses. So if the module I'm developing also includes something similar, should I also cover that topic, or should I refer to another module which is already on HydroLearn, that this is something you can learn from there and you can move forward with it based on what I'm teaching? So or should we do that, cover that again?
Yeah, great question. Imad, do you want to field this one, or do you want me to?
Yeah, I'll share some thoughts, and maybe you can follow up also, Melissa. So either way, I think would be perfectly fine, Kazi. It depends really on how you want to design your module. If you think it's not an integral part of your module, it's kind of almost like a prerequisite, then I would send them there, right? And say, complete that before you come here. It also depends on that section in Tyler's module and other modules, if it can be done as standalone things. So you'll have to look at it carefully. If you think it's really, I want to make sure they do it, you know, there are ways you can actually, maybe for the lack of a better word, you can copy what Tyler has in that section and put it here. Of course, as long as the about page, you know, in Tyler's course releases it for others to share, and I think it does. So we'll have a copyright statement at the end of every module where the professor will say, I'm fine with people copying and pasting as long as they give credit. So it really depends, but we encourage that. And there's no reason to reproduce something that's already out there, especially if it's on HydroLearn, otherwise we'll be defeating the purpose of it. Yes.
All right, thank you.
All right, so lots of great responses here to this question. I see a lot of people brought up the real life application and the motivation that provides for students. You know, can be really engaging and make them really want to either look at that case or use HEC-RAS because it's something they really need to learn how to use. I saw a couple of people who'd said, I would want to do it myself. I would want to go through the module myself first. I absolutely see that. Actually, we have someone who was a fellow last year. She had adopted a module that had been through several iterations, but was located, the one she used was located in Louisiana, but she was in North Carolina. So she used it and left it situated in Louisiana. And then as a fellow learned about adapting the module, and the following year kind of added some things to it, changed it up a little bit, but situated it within her own university's, a problem that her university itself was facing. So I think that there certainly is a lot of opportunity as an instructor to pick up a module and adapt pieces of it later. I will also say that not every fellow from last summer got to implement their module this past year, because we all know that a department chair might change their mind last minute, or a course might not make, and you might get thrown into a new course you weren't expecting. And that happened to a few fellows, and they were able to use others' modules that were created last summer and they knew about because we should do a lot of sharing. And so that really facilitated their instruction, especially in this crazy online year we had. So let's take a minute to look at the second question. If you're still at that same website, it should now have loaded the second question for you, which is what might be barriers to you in adopting this module? What might keep you from using Tyler and Austin's module in your course, in one of your courses? So I'm seeing a lot of really important comments coming up in here. Having to think about how it fits with the content of your own course. I see the length of the module coming up a lot. One thing that is really useful about HydroLearn, I think, is that you could copy this entire module and bring it into your own, and then delete out any sections you didn't want to shorten it. But also we're also thinking that shorter modules, that you could take this short module and that short module and put them together, might be useful. So actually the focus, that what we're going to ask you all to focus on in the creation of your modules, is we are hoping, we're really going to push you not to create 25-hour modules, but to create 10-hour modules. We're going to push you to those smaller modules, because we are finding that a lot of that those are being taken up more by other faculty, because they can pull the few small modules that they need to and put them together in ways that make sense. So I'm really glad that several of you picked up on that time factor. It worked really well for Tyler and Austin, but in order to get our big goal of lots more adopters, we think that those smaller modules are really what's helpful. And I also appreciate the recognition that there'll be some things that might be barriers now that won't be by the end of this workshop. Akazi, I see another question.
Yeah, so do you guys have any preference in terms of delivering the material? So do you prefer like posting them as videos, or should it be like more like based on written text, or a mix of both? Like, do you have any preference on that? Because providing videos might save a lot of time. I mean, writing them down might be not that easy, but if I like post a video explaining a certain method, maybe within 15 minutes, I can actually show or demonstrate how it's actually done. But if I want to like write it down, the whole thing, it might be like, half an hour, 1 hour reading. So is there any guidelines about that or any preference?
Yeah, so we'll talk about that throughout the workshop, but the preference would be a mix, and to keep the videos themselves less than 10 minutes long. So more shorter. Videos, like you said, are a good way to kind of, we want to use videos, we want to show students something and demonstrate how to do something. But videos aren't so useful if I want to go back and revise the notes, or if I want to look again to study. Written text can be more helpful for kind of scanning to find information. So we do want to give students a mix, but yep, we'll talk about that a lot more in the coming weeks. Martin?
If I can comment on this, if you don't mind. I think one of the comments was about, well, there are some videos, I'm not sure if I can modify them. So that speaks to the point that, let's not make everything videos, because it's difficult for others to modify them. Like Melissa said, I think the best use of videos is to demo something or to go over, but it's not like I'm lecturing on the blackboard and I'm taking a video of that. It's a great question, Kazi. So yeah.
Yeah, so videos of how to use HEC-RAS, or we have a video in one of the modules on how to hand delineate a watershed. Those are things that are much better done through video. So yeah, that mix. Thanks for bringing that up, Imad, too, about the adaptability. Martin.
Yes, I was one of the people concerned about the length of this module. So I was wondering if you could clarify what you mean with the 10 hours. Is that total commitment, including class time and student time? So, I mean, we always, for a regular course, like 3 credits during a semester, we anticipate students to spend 9 to 10 hours total per week on that course. So is that what you mean, total time, class time, and students at home time? Or is it just what the students do outside of class time? Thank you.
Yeah, great question. So we count the hours as the number of hours it takes students to complete the module. So that would be if they were working entirely on their own. Then if you decide to have them work through issues in class, or if you want to discuss aspects of the module in class then as well, then that would be, we wouldn't count that in the hours of the module. You agree with the way I explained that, Imad?
Yeah, I think so. And the way I do it also, like I would give it to my grad student, for example, and ask him or her to go over it. That gives me like a feel of how long it will take a student to finish it. I know you cannot do that ahead of time, but ideally, I think I understood that this is the number of hours that a student will spend if they do the module entirely on their own, you know, sitting down. So the time spent in class, maybe that's an added on. Again, it's tough to pinpoint it down to a specific number of hours, but you get an example like this one is taking about maybe, I don't know, Tyler, maybe 25 or so hours. So something that's half of that in terms of the length would be appropriate, I think. Yeah. And this is very easy actually to take it and cut it into small pieces and use it as is. So as long as you develop in that spirit, I think it's easier to cut from.
All right, Dan? Okay, maybe Dan stepped away for a minute, so I'll take his side. Let's take the question first. Farad?
Well, you mentioned about the instructors wanting to modify the modules. Is this the instructors that are going to adopt it, that they can modify it, or is it the instructors that are teaching it?
So both. Typically, if you're the creator and you're teaching it, you're going to make it what you want so that you can teach it. Right? So from the get-go. But we have, Maud, help me with the number. Is it 100 faculty members about around the world who have picked up and used existing modules without creating them?
Yeah.
So when we talk about adapting, I'm really thinking about someone who's using a module that they didn't create and how they could cut and paste and pull things out to make something that works for their class.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. So in that way, we're really trying to be different, sorry, Maud, than a static textbook or than a static problem set, or even then as compared to something that might have been uploaded to Circ or some other site, but where you can pull pieces together to make a module that works for your class. And since the materials were created through these workshops, then we know that they've been vetted and have gone through a rigorous review process.
But then my understanding is they cannot modify the original on the website. They just can, I guess, download it or upload it to another software and modify it. Is that?
So if they create a studio account, then what they can do is they can download a copy of your module. So they wouldn't modify your module. They wouldn't have rights to that, but they could download a copy of it, re-upload it, pull out the pieces they want. And then they could do that for several modules to put them then together into a new one.
Okay, excellent. Thank you.
It can all be done on HydroLearn. Yes, you can download it, upload it to your own account, and it becomes yours. And then you can do anything you want with it. If you plan to use as is, we encourage you to just use the version that sits on HydroLearn. If you end up making significant changes to the module, then you might think about posting it back, making it public, I guess. You can keep making it public, it becomes a new module. And we ask that folks cite the original module that they adopted from.
Yeah. Great questions. You all are thinking ahead. Of course, we have so many hours that we're going to be together and talking through a lot of these issues too. So we really wanted you to work in teams. Working in teams is really kind of critical. I know personally, I love working alone and don't always like that negotiation that comes with working with a partner. But I also know that my best ideas come out when I have a partner. And so we've done fellows where they worked independently and fellows where they worked in partnership. And the collaboration really brought out a lot of great ideas. And so that's why we're doing that again this year. So some of the kind of key features for us to think about with HydroLearn is that we do want it to be a platform for collaboration, that adoption and adaptation of modules that's already happening by instructors around the world is something that we think is really exciting and was one of the selling points to NSF when Imad wrote the grant, Imad and Dave and Dan and Doug. And then also, you know, we're hoping for these workshops to be active learning experiences for you. We're hoping that through your collaborations, you'll be able to share and mix and match content. You'll be in small group pairs, but you'll also be in slightly larger content groups. So you'll get to hear how other people's modules are developing throughout and get ideas from one another and help each other troubleshoot. And one way that we find this really useful is, you heard Tyler talk about this, he and Austin had to negotiate the different content in their 2 courses, and they were able to share data and figure out, based on these 2 content, the content of their different courses and the way their universities were structured, what would make sense across the 2. And so they were able to come up with a really robust module using that kind of negotiation with their partners. Another thing is that writing learning objectives can be challenging. And so writing those in pairs is an added benefit. And it helps to make sure that your content is shareable. In our first round of fellows who worked independently, they came up with modules that were really useful for their particular class at their particular university. But those modules haven't been taken up as widely as those that were created by the fellows who worked in pairs. So all that being said, we have divided you into 11 teams and guides. So if you'll take a minute, and you've probably already found your last name by now, we've assigned topics. These topics here are based on what you and your partner had in common and what you identified in your application. They're not set in stone. And you and your partner can negotiate a topic that works best for you. But this is our suggestion based on your applications and where your interests were. But like I said, again, those are not set in stone. But you are assigned to these partners. Of course, if anything doesn't work out, we're happy to help and negotiate and problem solve. You'll also notice 2 names by you. Oops. The first name is the last name of the engineering content guide. So for instance, this is Dan Ames or Ahmad Habib. The second name is the name of your education content guide. So if you're with Ahmad, then you're also with Doug Williams. And if you're with David Tarbotten, then you're also with me. So we've divided those up because we will be giving you continuous feedback throughout the workshop and also through the module review process once you've written your first draft of it. Before we kind of move on, any questions about this setup or the partnerships?
Yeah, can you please quickly mention again the role of the first and the second person, the names beside the, like who should we contact based on what kind of questions?
I feel like you're looking at my slides and helping me move along. So perfect. So we have an assigned point of contact spreadsheet, and I'll click on that and open it up for you. And that gives that information a little more specifically, or with a little more information, I should say. So we will share the slides with you. In just a minute, you'll get a link to a shared Google Drive folder where we'll keep all of their slides and everything from now through the end of the hackathon. And you'll see here, you have your names, your universities, your general topic, your technical point of contact. That's going to be Jenny Bird for everyone. Your education point of contact and your content point of contact. Content being the engineering faculty member who will be your kind of content guide. And then all of our contact information is here as well. So we will share this with you in just a couple of slides, but I wanted to let you know it's coming. All right, any other questions? Okay, so what we're going to do just now is we're going to put you in breakout rooms with your assigned partner. And this is really just a get to know you time. You'll have about 15 minutes in your room with your partner. You want to talk about some things you might want to talk about. Of course, introduce yourselves, where you are. We have all kinds of different time zones. So what time zone you're in, so you can know if you should expect your partner will be tired or it'll help you facilitate communication. What courses are you teaching? You might want to talk about your preferred method of communication and exchange email addresses, phone numbers, if you decide you want to text or WhatsApp. And then maybe some facts about your working style. For instance, I like to, I prefer to work at night, so you might not see this work done until 10 o'clock at night or things like that. Some information to get to know you and to understand one another's work habits. You can feel free to use this time to start brainstorming ideas for your module if you're really excited about that. But you don't have to use this time for that. There will be plenty of time for that in the coming weeks. The main goal here is to get to know each other and to start kind of seeing where your commonalities are.
And Melissa, where we have several international participants and so many different time zones, make sure that you don't miss that detail when you're talking to each other. You keep track of which time zone and be cognizant of the challenges people might have with time zones. I know that we've asked everyone to participate in our workshop, during the actual workshop hours when it happens, during the hackathon hours, which will probably really mess with some of your schedules. So we'll let you discuss amongst yourselves how you're going to handle that as you're working. Some of you might want to work, sort of earlier in your day before the hackathon starts, and then join the hackathon, or work after the hackathon, or however you want to do it.
Yeah, great point. Thanks, Dan. So I'm going to put this content from this slide in the chat so that you won't forget it, as you'll have access to it. And then I'm going to open the breakout rooms. But before I open the breakout rooms, I just wanted to check to see if there were any other questions.
Hi, Melissa, this is George. And so can you hear me?
Yes.
Oh, actually, today my partner is not able to attend. So then what for me?
Yeah, so great question. We're going to have you hang out here with us for just a little bit.
Okay.
Jenny, have
Thank
you
you.
created the rooms for us? Will you open them, please?
Yes.
Thank you.
I have George assigned to the urban hydrology group, since he shares a common topic with 2 other fellows.
Perfect. How does that sound, George?
Yeah, I saw this, I will join that group. That's great. Yeah.
Yeah. And you'll have me and Belize. So.
Let's see. So for those remaining in the room, Karim Meza, what room would you like to go to? Are you with Alfonso?
Yes, please.
Okay, hold on.
All right, so far so good.
Mm. It's like we've done this before.
I have to say, I feel a lot more.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
Has to do that first, I think.
Sorry. Okay.
All right, we are recording again, and I'm closing the rooms. They're not rushing back, so they must have been chatting, so that's good.
We got some good questions from the group already.
Mm-hmm. Very insightful questions too. They're thinking ahead.
Yeah, it's hard because there's so much we're going to talk about with them, and they're asking those questions that come later, which of course, like you're right, shows great thinking.
I feel like they're already ahead of where the group last year was at this time. I don't know if we've sent them more preparatory information, or if they've just been able to look at HydroLearn and sort of get ahead better than last year's group. So, but as far as just like,
Welcome back, everyone.
oh, there we are.
All right, so as you come back in here, we're gonna do one more poll everywhere. I'll put that link in the chat one more time. But as you join us and come back from your groups, something we're wondering is, how are you feeling about HydroLearn? And this is a word cloud. So if you say like, I'm feeling happy, it'll put each word separately. So if you decide to use more than one word, then just put quotations and it'll keep the terms together. Okay. Nice.
By the way, you don't have to only put in positive sounding words.
Yeah.
I see anxious there already.
Oh, there's, yeah, good. Curious, anxious. Stoked, somebody's from the 80s. I appreciate that because I'm also from the 80s.
All right. If you haven't yet had a chance, go ahead to the Poll Everywhere link. I'll put it in the chat one more time. And feel free to tell us in one word, or if you want to use more than one word, then just put quotations around what you write. And how are you feeling about HydroLearn? We collaborate, global, nervous, interested. Optimistic. Excellent. Well, if you are feeling anxious, you know, it really is a big task. There's a lot that we're going to be doing together. I mean, it is a big commitment, but we are also a really supportive team and we will help you through it. So I think that we will all be successful. The co-PIs were talking while you all were in breakout rooms, and we are just really excited to work with you all. You're going to already tell that you're just a great group of scholars.
And I don't speak for the previous fellows, but I think there was a lot of anxiety maybe, or nervousness also. But at the end of the workshop, I think most participants walked away with modules that they were very happy with and they were proud of. So I think that there's a little bit of you know, I guess nervousness that can go there, but the result will be hopefully very useful to you.
All right, Jenny.
All right, so everyone, we have arranged for you a shared folder on Google Drive, and this will be the place where you will have access to like the recorded meetings, our PowerPoint slides, and any other materials that we need to share with you. And it also provides like a very convenient space for you to share documents with your partner. You're constantly going to be referencing this folder, so I suggest that you like bookmark it. Thank you, Melissa. And as you open the Fellows folder, you will see within that like a subfolder called Forms to Fill.
Jenny, can I interrupt? And not everyone probably uses Google Drive all the time. So if you are unfamiliar with how to bookmark it, you should see Fellows folder here with a little drop down arrow. And then if you have a Google Drive, you should be able to add shortcut to Drive. If you don't have a Google Drive, then what you could do instead is you could add that to your bookmarks. If anyone has questions on how to do that, I'm happy to stay after at the end to point that out to you. Go ahead, Jenny, sorry.
Thanks, I actually learned something there. So yeah, inside the forms to fill folder, you'll see the consent form that we're asking for today. Yeah, instructor consent to participate. So just, you know, at your leisure, read through this and then sign the bottom and email it to me when you're done, preferably as a PDF. And the second thing that I would like you to do is provide your phone number in this Google form that we've created. So if you're an international applicant, I already have your phone numbers. You can skip this, but everybody else, I need your phone number. So any questions about this before I'll give you a second to work with that.
Is there a way we can use one of what's that general texting service that people use a lot internationally? I can't remember suddenly.
GroupMe is one.
So it looks like some of the questions have been modified. Let's.
I shared the wrong thing.
I believe that the link I put in the chat should work correctly now. Jenny, I moved that form out of their forms to fill and into our main HydroLearn folder.
Thank you. Sorry about that, y'all.
So Martin, the link itself is the link that I put in the chat. We'll just open the folder. So when you put add shortcut to drive, it should add to whatever drive you're signed into. So here right now, you can see I'm signed into my personal account, but I could shift this to a different account. And so depending on what account you're signed into is which one it's shared with. We did not share it with any account of yours in particular. All right.
Question, so do we print out the consent form or is that something we can sign online, an email to you? I'm sorry if I missed that.
Yeah, Jenny, would you actually replace this document with a PDF?
On it.
And then the fellows, you can just download it to your computer. You can sign it in Adobe or on your phone with your finger, however it works for you, and then just send the PDF back. All right, so no matter where you are in that process, let's put a pin in that for just a second, because we are now going to help you get signed up for HydroLearn.
Okay, everyone. So when we speak about the HydroLearn platform, there are two sides to the same coin. You can think of edX as the learning management system, like this is what your students will see. And Studio is the behind the curtains scene where the magic happens. And this is where you will be building your module with your partner. So at this time, you can go ahead and follow these instructions under number 1. and create a HydroLearn account. When you create this account, thank you. So HydroLearn, and then click sign up. Create an account. For your username, we suggest that you do first_last. It helps us work with you, find you, and also you cannot change your username after the fact. So you want to make sure that you get it right the first time. And as for usage, that should pop up with the drop-down menu, and you should select instructor. And for goals, it's irrelevant what you put there. You can just put fellowship or hackathon or something like that.
So hopefully everyone is taking a minute right now just to get yourself signed in, get your account created.
If we already have an account, can we go ahead and just use that?
Yes, great question. If you already have an account, please don't create another one.
Make sure you apply for the studio part though.
We'll get to that in just a second. We'll guide you through that process.
So just to help us gauge the time, in Zoom, there's a reactions button at the bottom of your screen, and you can click on the thumbs up button, which if you've never lived inside the US, that's one way that we indicate that we're good with things. So if you would give us a thumbs up once you have signed up for HydroLearn, if you already have an account, or once you've gotten signed up, if you'll give us a thumbs up. All right, seeing those thumbs up, turn up. Let's give a few more minutes. If you are signed up for the next step, you'll need to be logged in. So once you get yourself signed up, then you can go ahead and log in.
And on the right-hand side, underneath this search bar where it says search your courses, underneath it says, are you an instructor? And then it provides a link for you to register for your studio account. So go ahead and click that. And the approval process is not automated, so you'll just need to give us a few minutes to approve you.
And that's why we're getting everyone logged in and signed up today, so that when we start the workshop, that process will already be complete. So when you click on this link, it'll give you a place to register.
Should we then request course creator status?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Great.
Yep, absolutely. And as Jenny mentioned, that's a manual process for us to prove you on the other side. So that will not turn up for a little bit. And then let's use a different reaction this time just to help me know where you are. If you have been able to sign up for your studio account, would you do the clapping hands for me?
Can I just ask you a question about the consent form? Should we email it back to you or upload it on our Google Drive folder?
I missed part of that, but if you're asking about the consent form, please email it to me.
Okay, yeah, thanks.
Yeah.
Great question. All right, the emojis and hands have stopped appearing in the chat. So I'm going to assume that either everyone is good with that or else you're super stuck, in which case we will give help to the super stuck at the end. So we have some deliverables coming up before our next meeting. Our next meeting is on July 8th. The deliverables, what we'd like you to do is to sign up for edX in Studio. So we just walked you through that. If you just got that done, then you're good to go. And then the second thing that we would like you to do, actually, I feel like these are out of order, is we would like you to email that consent form to Jenny, also by July 8th. And then the last thing that we would like you to do is start working through. So we have an introductory course here for you that's kind of a prerequisite for the hackathon. Once you have your account, you can go in and look at the courses. And this course is called HydroLearn 101, using HydroLearn why and how. So if you
real quick. In order for the fellows to find this module, they need to go to hydrolearn.org, then click on modules, because the page that you were showing is your dashboard, and all of those courses are ones that you are assigned to edit.
I
So this is the
apologize.
thing
Thanks,
to get
Jenny.
to. Yeah.
So you're going to go to hydrolearn.org, and you do not need to log in. You need to just click on modules. And again, it's at the bottom somewhere. HydroLearn 101. So when you click on that, you should be able to enroll in the course. You're going to want to enroll in the course. And then you should be able to look inside of the course once you enroll. You'll notice that it has 3 sections plus the introduction. What we're asking you to do by July 8th is to complete just that first section. So we're not asking you to complete the entire thing, but just this first section called Why Adopt HydroLearn. And so there are some pages for you there about active learning, enacting active learning methods, and creating a course. Well, actually, you're going to want to start in the module overview just to get kind of a sense for it. And you'll see the learning objectives. So just as you read through here, we have a survey we'd like you to take. It's very short. And then so just working through kind of this first section in the module. Anne, I see your question in the chat. The only form we want you to fill out in email is the consent form. Those other forms we'll do at the end of the hackathon workshop. And those, the W-9 has your social security, so you don't want to email that. We'll set up a secure way for you to send that to us later. And Jenny will be putting the PDF of the instructor consent here for you. So yes, that will be there. All right, so those are your deliverables. Any questions about that? All right, so our next meeting is at the same time, and you should have received a calendar invite with a Zoom link, and it will be on July 8th, which I believe is 2 weeks from now. So we will hang out if you have questions or if you need help signing up for your accounts. And if not, then we will see you in 2 weeks.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
See you guys.
Hi, Martin.
Bye, I'll see you in a couple of weeks.
Bye,
Thank
Jen.
you all. See you next time.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Hi, Melissa. I had a quick question.
I think, can I attend to Martin's question first?
Sure,
and then-
yeah, go ahead.
Great.
Yeah, so my partner is Aster in Ethiopia, and she's 8 hours ahead of us. My question is, so the blocks that we blocked out for the workshop go until 6 o'clock Eastern time, right? So which is 2 o'clock in the morning over there. Is there any flexibility to take some of that time and work with her at a different time, or is it this block of time that we always have to be together?
Yeah, Ahmad, are you here to field this question for us?
Yes, I'm here. And I believe that question came from Martin.
Yes.
Right. So Esther, she's still online. And I do remember when I offered her the invitation, she committed to make the time.
Okay.
Is that still true, Esther?
Yeah, so
Okay.
Yeah, and I certainly understand the time difference. It's like you said, 2 a.m. in the morning there.
yeah,
Okay. Yeah. I mean,
not even.
Yeah.
So those working times will be times when your content guides will be kind of dropping in to check on you and help answer questions, where Doug and I will be there to help you think about things from the educational perspective, when Jenny will be around to help you with any technical issues. And at the end of each of those windows, at the end of each day of the hackathon, you'll share within your content guide group, which will be really a place to kind of like a support group as you're developing and troubleshooting. So yeah, it's really challenging with the times, and we tried to pick times that would work for most people, but of course we had a very US centric perspective when we chose our times.
Thank
We
you.
appreciate that, Esther.
I see some folks who signed up for HydroLearn but did not request the instructor. So if you have not done that, please do that.
All right, Varun, how can I help you?
Yes, so Sebnem and I, we were in our group session, we were talking about potential topics. And one question that arose, how can we avoid